So we're going to kind of step back with so ScoutIT AI is an application we've been working on for years actually, and it's more focused as a monitoring application as we're building AI functionality on top of Broadcom solutions or be able to bringing data from a lot of different areas. And then as a part of our journey, we really got deep into AI and started, trying to drive an application that's AI for a focused AI first and then those kind of things. So we'll talk about that core application at a high level. Then we're going to kind of go into kind of our agentic, call it agentic army, with the idea that I think there's not just going to be, a few agents here and there, that agents are going to just grow and expand at an exponential rate. We already see that, especially as you try to get agents to do smaller tasks and micro agents almost, for high reliability. Talk about our agent structure as we go forward. And then we'll get a little bit into modernization. Not to this depth of this guy over here where he's showing you deep code, but we've got to give the overview and just a couple pretty screens and then go from there, right? As we look. It's our thoughts. So Del, will you lead us off into are you going first or JP? JP's gonna.
Yeah, so unfortunately with the AWS issues, our
hold on.
Yeah, go ahead.
Are you the sales guy?
I am the sales guy.
So are you going to say that our system's down?
I'm not going to say
You're
that.
going to say I'm going to show you these screens off of our presentation. All right.
So yeah, you'll see some screens from ScoutIT AI rotating, and we'll talk to them a little bit as we go through, and then hopefully maybe get a quick peek at the modernization, as you mentioned there a little while ago. But essentially, we're going to talk to ScoutIT AI, right? That's our AI-driven solution, right? Designed to give you that predictable service reliability around, like what John was saying, network and monitoring of your network, of your applications, and then give you some measurables, to continuously improve the customer experience, right? So, as part of that monitoring, we're looking at all of your different applications, looking at your locations, your services, trying to pull that back into a unified view for you in ScoutIT AI. Let's see, and you can see some of the different technologies that we can incorporate. So although we're Broadcom heavily focused, ScoutIT AI is going to be able to bring in not just the applications or networks that you own, but those ones that you don't own, right? So some subscription services such as Salesforce, ServiceNow, SolarWinds, other tools, not non-Broadcom tools. So it's going out there, it's gathering that data for you automatically, and it's bringing back everything to the dashboards to give you insight into those applications, those networks. So, you're able to go in there, you're able to troubleshoot, you're able to take a look and, help the network or the application team determine, like, where is that challenge? Is it an application? Probably not, because, hey, the Vegas location that's using the application's up and running, no problem. So it's got to be here at the Omaha data center. So, you'll see some of those screens, some of the graphics that are going through, but that, that's basically what we're pulling together here to provide you that, overarching view of your network and of your applications. Yeah, so I guess the as part of that, the big thing is, the reliability challenge, right? So, you're always trying to find, what exactly, is affecting that network, that application, right? So, this should be like bringing that data together for you in one location. And, you don't always have you could be overwhelmed with a lot of the different results or issues that are out there. And it's tough to find resources a lot of times to, effectively and immediately kind of address all of that stuff. So we're trying to bring together all of that data into one central location for you, and help you troubleshoot and get to the basis of what that that system issue is that's affecting with your applications or your network.
So is it proactive?
Um,
Going out trying to anticipate?
It
Or is
is.
it reactive when someone says, hey, I got a problem here, I got a latency problem, or I've got another thing that's affecting productivity?
It does both. Yeah.
Can you show an example, predictive example? For example, okay.
Tony Davis, you want to introduce yourself real quick?
Oh, sure thing. Hey, everybody. Tony Davis, my name. Work for John. Try to help out with strategy, especially on the agentics. I get real excited about the agentics. So that I work mostly in that area, and then I also work on compliance and governance of agents, which is a totally burgeoning field, I guess you could say. So yeah, happy to attend. I've enjoyed what I've heard so far. So, and I believe a gentleman at the table had said, can you give an example of how we are more proactive? Did I hear that correctly, JP?
You did,
That's
yes.
correct, yeah.
Okay. We, as you know, and JP can show you in this little website thing that he's got going here, we have several agents, right, dedicated to IT operations, and all of them attempt to be proactive or predictive. But the one that really matches what the gentleman asked there was the one that we have called the Drifter, and you can sort of see it there, the Drifter. And the reason that we developed this, even myself personally, John and I both had a similar background. I remember myself personally leading IT operations for FedEx.com and only getting alerted when there was already a problem, right? So what we developed the Drifter agentic to do is it uses drift analysis, uses quartile analysis is the best way to think of it, to look at the Q1 to Q3, not to be boring here, but sort of the Q1 to Q3 box size of every metric that we monitor for our customers. So when that box begins to drift, it typically will not set off any alarms. Like Cody Cosmetics is one of our big customers, and we wouldn't necessarily see that setting off alarms for them, but it is an indicator that things may be heading south and going bad. So the Drifter actually issues a weather report, that's what we call it, to the IT manager there. And that manager says, today might be a stormy day because I see drift in this one particular part of your network or applications. So to the gentleman who asked that, the Drifter has become one of our most popular agents because it's a girl and she actually does predict the future. So that would be the best answer there.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tony.
Sure.
And again, the focus here is it's 13 buckets across different information sets, application data, network data, infrastructure data. You know what I mean? Because if you're doing any kind of monitoring, you guys data flying in from a million different places, and we try to take that information and combine it, right? Give it an overall ranking or a score from which we can then kind of move forward from.
So these user selectable, 13 out of a bucket of more than that?
So
20 or 30?
so this is actually out of Tony's master's thesis for that he put it together, right, and identified, kind of some of the key metrics. One of the problems with all these monitoring tools is they almost give you too much information to look at. So we've kind of culled it down, copyrighted this to what we thought is to be the best, most effective. We do have a 14th bucket if you want to do some configuring, to this formula, but that's we really think this is the best starting point.
Yeah, and you get, the more input you give ScoutIT AI, the more buckets you can fill and be able to utilize. So if I click on any of these, you'll see some of the popular tools and integrations that can feed into those buckets to give you the data.
Is there an IBMI agent or integration?
Integration. Right now, everything's about integrations. We're probably more like next year, we'll probably be doing more of our own agents, but for right now, it's all bringing in data from existing sources. And focusing on event intelligence with this. So,
Any other thoughts you have? Should we move to the
Tony, any additional info here?
No, she nailed it. That's we did try to list some of the applications that people use out there today for each of these, just so you can reference it. But no, Adele got it just right.
So this little diagram gives you his persona, the functional responsibilities, kind of where he was developed from, his purpose, and I can go into a little bit of that. And then Tony, if you want to give more of an in-depth answer here, that would be great. So this, as I was saying, this is who you would interact with if you used our chat function. So as a customer goes on and wants to engage with a typical like chatbot style question and answer format, you would engage with Bishop, and he would be able to, are they able to hear me?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm associating that now with not able to hear.
Yeah.
So this is who they would engage with and kind of ask their questions to on that chatbot style. There are other options to talk with specific agents to do those other tasks, but generally you can go here as an easy answers all kind of space. The tone, he's going to give direct, super clear answers to the customer, pulling in all the data. And as you can see, the lineage section here, it says he's built for orchestration of all of the agents. So the idea is to just make sure that we have one voice that can communicate effectively all of the things that ScoutIT AI is doing on the back end. Tony, you got any other added thoughts there?
That was a good summary. I was just going to say, just like Adele said, Bishop is the only one other than the transformer that we allow interactivity. Most of the other agents, we just simply let them do their job.
I'll move on to the next one.
How many personas do you have?
Tony, I think we're at 7, right?
Sorry, what was that question?
The question was, how many personas do we have today?
Yeah, we have 7 what you would call workers, and then we have 1 critic that is over governance. So you have 7 operational and 1 over governance.
All right, so next up we have the trender. So this is our pattern recognition. So kind of what you were asking earlier, Mark, about who's looking at trending data and like kind of looking for the issues
Right.
ahead of what's happening. So Tony calls him the pattern cartographer. So he's mapping out potential issues before they get there. He's looking at different signals and interpreting the patterns and the long horizon trends that might affect you across all of the data. And then he'll interpret that and provide strategic intelligence that will give you maybe a more decision-making and infrastructure-related like planning model. So say normally it would take a lot of people a lot of time to analyze all of this data and input. This guy can look at it, interpret it, and then give you suggestions on what your team should do moving forward to maybe combat some of those issues you might face. So he looks at our RPI score, different metric anomalies, alarm hits, gonna look at anything that might come from all of your inputted buckets and different softwares you're using. And then it simplifies it down, gets rid of the noise so that you can focus on what you need to do next. And then if you look, Tony can talk to this a little bit more, but these agents are all created off of each other and are related in different ways. So you could, this under lineage, it shows you some of the sibling agents and the position it's in. But ultimately, this is to analyze all of the things that are coming up and all of the data for the purpose of predicting where you might see pitfalls in the future.
So so within SCOUT, right? It's a multi-tenant solution. It's every customer gets their own set. Right? So we do, you have the core, and so it's again, as they get cloned per customer. So that's focused only on their data set. There's no co-mingling or anything else like that. This set really becomes an army of agents, for all the customers that we're serving. And our expectation is that there'll be even more agents as we push the AI harder. Okay. Go to the next one.
Tony, anything to add?
No, that was perfect.
All right. Moving on, we have the blender. So this is our 6 Sigma correlation agent. The focus here is to transform all of your alarm systems into a structured, actionable response by blending like the multi-platform signals that you're getting and eliminating all of the noise through the Six Sigma correlation analysis. So this is going to simplify where you might be receiving different pings from different systems. It's going to put it all together and simplify it down so that you can really just get down to what needs to happen, what the actual items are. And something I didn't point out prior, output format up here, and this is giving you kind of a look into if you were to ask this agent a question, or if you were to ask it to run a test on the alarms you're receiving, it would spit out a response kind of in this format. So it would go through the root cause candidates, so what it thinks might be coming from. It would go through alarm groupings, the noise radio score, deduplication summary, and then the correlation map, so how that's all related, and then give you a feedback.
Oh,
Did we lose it?
Oops.
oh, that's okay.
Okay.
That's only here.
Okay, good. keep
Okay,
going.
so everybody can still
The screen is here on the screen.
Awesome. So that is kind of how you would see the response. So as we go forward, looking at some of these different agents, if you have any questions on those, that output format is kind of the formula for how, if you were to talk with the individual agent, it would give you a response.
And this to me is one of those examples of how great AI can be, because if anybody's dealt with Six Sigma before, the amount of data you had to collect, all the extra data entry, the analysis, and Tony can really talk to this, is it takes, like, to become a black belt Six Sigma dude at GE takes months, if not years. And then to analyze it and generate a report takes weeks, if not months, and it's all old. And we can do a Six Sigma report with based on accurate data in a matter of minutes. And so as we have covered, several of our customers are GE disciples and really into the Six Sigma universe, right? They're getting stuff that they've never been able to get to before. And it's really been unbelievably powerful. So I'll sit in here and bitch about AI throwing up bad stuff all day long, but here's just an example of how it's doing great work in a fraction of the time.
And I know Tony pointed out in some of our internal calls how if you were to present this data like Six Sigma, all of that to a higher up who doesn't understand what they're reading, it's going to be really confusing and overwhelming. But this interprets it so you can present it to people like me who are in marketing, who don't understand the nitty gritty and can understand what problems they're facing and how we need to move forward. And like John said, it happens in minutes, which is awesome. So if Tony, if you have anything to add to that, otherwise I'll move on.
That was great. The only thing I told John one time that when I was at FedEx, we literally employed 2 people. This is just in FedEx.com IT. We employed 2 people to do Six Sigma analysis on all of our IT operations. And they were certainly good at what they did. But like John said, look at this. I mean, now we can do incredible Six Sigma analysis on millions upon millions of rows of data in under 2 minutes. So.
Right, moving on, we have the transformer. So this one was created as the black belt agent, like John mentioned earlier. So they execute all the complex modernization products, diving into improvement and real-time process engineering for AWS enterprise clients. I believe this one was created specifically for AWS. Is that correct, John? It
is.
The transformer.
Well, Tony, right?
Yes, it was.
All right. So this one was created to be agent-driven, observability strategy-based, and focused on the emergence of analytics as it goes through. And so he doesn't just analyze the trend, he restructures it with the system behind it. And Tony can dive into the tech side of that. I'm not fully aware of that. Tony, anything to add there?
Yeah, I guess just the cool thing, I guess the coolest thing about this agent was it was our first commissioned clone. So AWS literally liked the Blender, I think, and the Drifter. And they said, but we really want something that does this, that, and the other. It was ITIL focused, like they really wanted a business process engineer. But they said, we like how the Blender works and we like how the Drifter works. So we literally inherited both of those agents and built this as a clone. And this clone is really good at, like I said, process engineering, ITIL processes, and Six Sigma, of course, which it inherited. So that's what it does. It's good at ITSM of any flavor, really. And so it's just sort of cool that we created a clone based upon two of our existing agents.
Can you share what the origin moment indicates? What's that mean to you? Interesting statement you make there.
Oh, I'm very, very sorry. Could I ask you to say that again?
Yeah, the origin moment.
Oh, for the
It's
transformer?
the status, official Lean Six Sigma black belt tempered with ScoutIT AI's principles. So what's that mean, tempered with? That's an interesting concept.
Yeah. Yeah. Originally, because of what we have inside of ScoutIT, it's the agentics are really tailored or tempered to where everything in their life is about IT operations. So when we did the original training, I remember John and I still meeting on this like literally a year ago. We decided that the original 7 agentics would be trained as if they were IT operations analysts and like level 3 from the NOC. We wanted them to like inherit that personality and temperament of that type of person. So when AWS came to us and said that they wanted this clone created, in this case, we had to sort of shift its mindset and say, look, you can keep all of your great IT operations wisdom, but we really want you to start thinking like a business analyst now instead of an IT ops analyst. So that was it for us, and we weren't sure how it would work out, to be honest with you, but it is a solid performer.
And this kind of goes back into agents, which is actually kind of fascinating how you can give them a persona, right? And as you see, we've done that, and we can, what kind of role are they working in, right? Are they in a management role or a developer role or IT operations role? Is it, are they happy? Are they sad? Right? They can literally respond to you back that way. And, we try not to get, angry mode going too much, but if it'll, they'll respond to you the way you're talking to it. So it's a pretty fascinating and wild avenue that they're taking this whole thing, as it kind of moves into, getting the job done that people do.
Yeah, and
Right.
Tony even provided the personality and voice section. So for all of these agents, they have different tones that they'll respond to, whether that's clear and concise or confident and collaborative, like this one. A consultant style tone is the way that this one will respond to you. So if anyone has questions or would like to see the specific personalities behind these, let me know and I will show you those. So moving on, we have the Prophet. So this is our network trajectory forecaster. So it's built on the predictor's early success in reliability forecasting, and it evolved so that we could quantify cloud network trajectories and BGP routing patterns. It enabled ScoutIT AI to look where the risk lies and not how fast just the cloud paths are degrading or improving using the AppNeta and Thousand Eyes telemetry. And so you can kind of see that under legacy. The purpose is to analyze things and quantify things as it goes through everything. So you can see that if you want a more in-depth description, Tony can answer that. But it quantifies cloud network trajectory and routing momentum using those telemetry data, delivering directional movement guidance that reveals not just where the cloud paths are headed, but how fast carry performances and the BGP stability and how they're degrading. So this pointed out this time, the personality and voice is a calm and analytical network oracle, as Tony would say. So it speaks like a network engineer. John or Tony, anything to add to that one?
Doing good.
Okay. Forward. Tony mentioned the drifter earlier. This is our weatherman, another way we predict and assess things before or as they're happening. It's a parent agent, so it's not cloned off of anything else. It analyzes our RPI deduction buckets, our reliability score using Six Sigma to deliver, as Tony says, early tornado warnings and quantify drift problems before they impact your product environments or your production environments. It provides a quartile analysis on every one of the 13 deduction buckets. And it has a gritty yet experienced tracker voice, is how Tony describes it. The warnings that they provide are important to be direct and unambiguous, so you can address them ahead of time with clarity. And it enabled us to just look how fast we're heading towards or away from risk, not just where the risk is. So it can give you analysis of, hey, you might be hitting this in a certain amount of time, or you might want to look into this in the next quarter. So it gives you kind of a roadmap, not just here's some risk. Well, how quickly do I have to address this risk? It will give you some insight there to adjust your plans as needed.
Again, we're trying to leverage AI more and more for predictability. Obviously, be able to react better, right, from all these different inputs, but we think the future is really on predictability, and it's coming alive. People have been talking about predictability for years, if not decades, right? But it's actually coming alive more so now than ever. All right, next.
On the predictor. So this is our RPI improvement oracle. So focusing in on the RPI, the reliability score, it analyzes and takes in all the simulations to identify the biggest improvement opportunities and predict the exact amount of score gain that's achievable. So say if you get like a negative 0.07% out of that 100% reliability score, it will give you your opportunity for improvement. What can you tangibly do to fix where you're losing on that score? Its goal is just to analyze that and determine improvement. And like John said earlier, the agents are specific. They have specific tasks and they don't trend outside of that objective that we've given them. So this one solely looks at the reliability score and analyzes that so that it doesn't get confused by any additional data and give you different results. And again, the 13 buckets, depending on what you have feeding them. So if you have AppNeta, for example, and Tony, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe we can expand into all 13 buckets. But if you don't have all the platforms, it might be reviewing from 9 buckets or however many you have access to. And then
You're exactly right.
Okay. Nice. Thanks, Tony. So yeah, just looking at improvement, prediction, and methodology, and it feeds into Bishop. So if you were to ask Bishop questions, it would respond pulling in this agent. And then the tone for this one, all the way down here, if you care to know, is data-driven and statistical. It speaks in probabilities and not absolutes because it's hypothetically, this is how you would improve your score. Hypothetically, this is what you should do to fix this issue that's pulling away from your potential here. Anything to add there, John or Tony?
No, looks good.
Right. And then the last one we're going to cover today is the critic. And based off of some of the issues we talked about earlier that people face with AI, this one has been very valuable to ensuring ScoutIT AI's success rate. So this is our performance and integrity auditor. So the focus of this agent.
So I'm gonna pause right there, right? So this is the one, and this is over the last couple of months is really also where we're spending a tremendous amount of our time around future proofing. But let's keep going. And we'll add to it pretty significantly.
Yeah, add in where we need. So the goal of this in simpleton terms is to make sure all the other agents are doing their job and not making mistakes and not giving you hallucinations or mumbo jumbo that doesn't make any sense. So this guy looks at every response that these agents are putting out and is like, all right, are these accurate? Are you doing your job, or are you just fabricating something in your response? And reports back to Tony and team to give performance reviews on the other agents. And so it's, go ahead.
Pardon me, what's the criteria to determine accuracy?
Great question. Tony, do you want to answer that one?
Sure. Yeah. You know, it depends on what kind of data we're looking at. So if, for instance, I'll just leave it in the IT operations realm right now where ScoutIT is. So the critic looks at their accuracy of data based upon IT operations data. And so when it looks at their invocation logs, it's looking for specific areas where they lie, and they do lie. So we're watching in the confusion, you can see Adele has confusion there sort of to the right. Yeah, and trust. Those two really catch us because we can tell from the invocation logs from the agents that are running, trying to solve like an IT operations issue, or trying to answer a customer's question on like, what should I do in this situation? We can see obviously from the invocation logs where they clearly lie when they're not caught on that. So what we do is we let the critic catch them in when they do lie. I'm not saying it happens all the time, but all of us know that hallucinations and a little bit of dishonesty can happen. But when they do, the reason that the critic is so important is he scores them, and they're in a reward society, so they get notified that they're not going to be rewarded, that they're disciplined, right? You did bad. And so that's number one. We show them where they were untruthful or they messed up or got confused. And then the second thing is that's part of our reinforcement training to come back over them and tell them, look, you should have looked at the standard deviation for this particular metric, and instead you went out to the internet and pulled some false information. You just lied to our customer. So we're very clear with them, not ambiguous at all. So hopefully that answered the question there.
Yeah. So standard deviation is, and those kind of metrics you look at, it looks like.
It is a big part of it, yeah. We look at pretty much all of anything mathematical, of course, we'll look at, the critic will look at to make sure that they're not making up numbers and that they're using the right formulas, for instance. And for our RPI score that Adele mentioned earlier, that's actually a documented formula. That's our IP, right? So we have that IP embedded. And so we always compare their RPI scoring to make sure they're using the correct formulas.
And so as we develop the critic, right, it's like independent evaluation outside of the agent evaluating itself, because we know that it's going to give whatever it wants to. And so we came up with a scoring mechanism around that as well, that also kind of helps us to identify if to improve it, whether we need to remediate it, whether it's prompting, context, RAG components, models. Right, even comparing models and how to optimize what it is that you're doing. Agents are not going to go away, right? Also, we know that models are dramatically going to improve over time, as they have. So how do you also leverage it? We leverage this as well as a way to compare and contrast for and future proof what's already in place.
Thanks.
Is that it, Adele?
Yeah, that is our last agent. So we have a couple minutes for questions, or if anyone wants us to dive more specifically into any of these, we're happy to do so.
So we've had customers, ITMI customers, look at Meta. In fact, one might be even on call, and looks like a promising product for them.
Yep.
So this would help make your AppNet installation that much better. Is that?
Yeah, absolutely. It's actually, kind of go with that in mind, right? But again, you use leveraging any kind of other monitoring tool above and beyond that, but it would be on top of that. Yeah, it brings in the AI component into the next level.
Okay.
That's what we're trying to bring. And so one AppNet, but also tie into anything else that they have existing. If people are SolarWinds, Cisco,
ScoutIT, whatever it is. Yep.
New Relic, Datadog, CloudWatch, whatever's out there. And again, in our world of enterprise monitoring, that there's tons of data out there, too much data. How do we help aggregate it, analyze it, and then you have full, downstream, review and information, right? So if anything goes sideways, you know what to do.
So if you have an agent and we're looking at an agent you guys have, and it does 90%, but can you just tweak this, and this? And how does that work? You support that type of?
We do, right? So as we've got kind of that foundational work in front of you, right? The agentic army, our next phase is really kind of going more into configurable needs. And we're finding that out. We're developing more and more with the customers that we work with, that they'll have additional tweaks. Also, as a lot of this it's built in with the agent that has a persona, right? As that becomes more automated, right? There's that persona just kind of, that becomes background, information or added to the logs or however it does it. And related to that, right? So the critic and also it's also remediation capabilities, right? So from a remediation standpoint, we can take if the critic identifies an agent. And so as we have a set of agents, so we showed it with ScoutIT AI, but as we're working also modernization activities with you guys, is the critic can review any active agent and with every implication to see how it does. And if it starts to degrade, the remediation activity is to have AI make a recommendation on how to improve that agent. And that might be better prompting, another model, and stuff like that. So just think about in 6 months from now, we know that there's probably going to be another half dozen or dozen or a couple hundred new models for it to evaluate, right? We stick with the main ones, at least the main providers, and say, okay, here's a new model available. It's going to save you maybe it processes faster, processes with fewer tokens, so then hence less cost, or gives a more efficient answer. Let's upgrade. And so it also helps to identify the idea of being able to maintain your agents and even future-proof them. And we do that within ScoutIT AI itself. Again, because as we are looking at full enterprise monitoring on applications, networks, servers, services, processes, agents are things that are processing nowadays. That's the new thing to monitor and to maintain. And it's not so much also just from a code base, but also just from the activity that it's doing. And so as we move into any kind of thing that's being processed from an agentic activity, right? How do we trust it? I haven't heard anybody in the room say that they trusted it, so we got to watch it. And, but it's also going to explode. So it's using AI to monitor AI, to update AI. So that's kind of what we're pushing forward, and we're pushing that. We're working, and again, we're working with you guys at CM First to also bring that really heavily into modernization activities. And see how we can really get aggressive with what's being proposed. We're hyper excited about what we're doing, and we're hyper excited about what they're doing. It's very cool.
Super. Any questions from the audience?
Yeah, can I just ask a question out of nowhere since I'm the new guy on the block?
Come on, new guy.
And I'm coming at this a little bit from the CA world.
Yeah, for sure. That's where we've been in business 25 years. We've been in the CA world.
All right. So
way too late at night usually.
There's the old school stuff.
Yeah.
So with all these systems that you're tracking and managing, and I'm assuming there's several systems that you're kind of incorporating and integrating with. How do you keep up with change orders that are supposed to be happening, like changes in applications or updates in configurations, or we've added another location, or things that are known changes,
right,
that should be okay versus that's a change we don't know about.
So right now, we're more focused on ingesting data that's already existing in those subsystems. So that change order happens more at the subsystem level than what we're getting.
Okay.
So it's we've had so you're more back to the CMDB and the change management process, where we're not watching that other than the data that's coming in that's affected by that. So we're not doing that yet. Tony, do you got any more thoughts?
No, John, no, totally agree with John. The only thing we've done to this point is we've integrated with ServiceNow. So in other words, a customer might have their change module or their incident module, and they might want that brought in so that we can do some AI analysis on that. And to the gentleman's question there, yeah, we could possibly pick up some of that goodness, but like John said, we haven't made a big foray into that field yet.
So then the idea is you're going to alert me of what then as you're tracking and managing all this data. What do you want to
Performance problems, yeah.
Go ahead. It's a performance problems.
Yeah.
Okay, so just pure performance. Something is going faster, it's going slower.
Yeah, most likely when it's going slower, or we expect it to go slower, and be so usually everybody's an alarm overload, and they only get notifications when it's an issue, right? But it's now, almost, shit hit the fan, right? So it's kind of like, here's what's coming, and notified based on that. That's where we're kind of moving more into the predictability versus the reaction. Now, what we're absolutely doing is helping people take alarms. Like we've helped a customer, one of our key customers. They're getting 100,000 alarms a day, or 100,000 alarms an hour. I can't even remember. Maybe it was a day. It was, and we got that down to 96 by correlation and stuff like that, aggregation and all that kind of stuff. So now all of a sudden 96 is manageable. 100,000, you might as well just say, yeah, I'm going home. Tell me what it is tomorrow, right? Because you can't deal with that. But that's a legitimate, issue that they had. And so using AI to do that for sure.
So 30 years ago, we would have called that in manufacturing process control.
Yeah.
You watch the data trends of whatever you were tracking.
Right.
And if it was headed towards one of the outer bands, you're saying, we're going to let you know about it. We're not going to wait till it hits the outer band. We're not going to wait till it's out of control. We're going to let you know early so you can see what's going on.
And I was just saying, I think, Tony, correct me if I'm wrong, right? You set the thresholds with that Neta and ScoutIT, correct, for alarming?
That's correct. So the alarms can be set, their thresholds can be, actually, John used a good example, JP. It was that one customer literally had from CA Spectrum 100,000 alarms per hour. I know that sounds ridiculous. I didn't even believe it myself. I thought they were messed up, right? They literally have 100,000 alarms per hour. So what they did is they started using ScoutIT, and from that they could ask ScoutIT, hey, of 100,000 alarms, what do you see that I should be interested in? And that's how they would create their situations to move forward. So the power of AI sometimes is taking these tools that just shotgun blast thousands upon thousands of alarms and making sense of them.
Again, from these customers, we're getting millions of data points a day. And we're at a point where data storage is really not that expensive. You know what I mean? So we can collect it all, and now we can actually analyze it, which is really mind blowing. And then you go into transformation, like you see what she's doing, right? With we can analyze that old code, right? Refactor it, transform it, and get kind of close, but a whole lot better than what we could do a year ago.
So if we're looking to refactor applications, again, I'm new to the game of what we're doing, but I think if we're looking to optimize applications and take COBOL and RPG applications and optimize them, go out and sell that idea to people, is there some way that we can work with you guys to have a way that's going to actually something we can show them ahead of time of how we could optimize an application, or look at an application and say, based on what you guys are seeing, here's some performance kinds of things that we could do to.
Well, so we showed you the performance, right? So one of the things is we had another, the kind of a modernization, something
how would you call it? Similar, complementary with what you guys are doing with the Evolve It, right?
I think it's both.
Yeah, it's both similar and complementary. It was very interesting as we started talking together, right? That we got approached by Amazon to try to put this AI factory into a transformation, solution. So we have those agents to help analyze, right? And this is where we're working together.
So that's what they haven't talked about. This is their tool that's out there and they're selling and but there's also work going on.
So we
the
have
transformation side with
project.
agents.
Yeah.
And we're going to work with them.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that makes sense to me then too. I see how that could.
So now what was, so as we, and again, we're kind of starting from what was our beginning and what have we learned and where we headed just on AI and the agentics, and taking that power, working with you guys into the analyze and the transformation, right? And we think these are things that can happen like it's never happened before. So again, we're working with you guys. Did you want to go to that?
Did you want me to showcase any of these?
Let me see. What do you got?
I don't know if we have time. Yeah.
I don't need to see anything.
Huh?
A little time.
John wants to see it.
All right, let's see it. Let's go into
John's are together. They're synced up. They want to see this.
yeah, let's go into that and then do you have the other link to that dev environment?
It wouldn't work on mine. I think something with the access won't load on my computer.
Oh, you're broke.
Yeah, but maybe
Okay.
Tony could showcase that if he's able to share. I'm not sure.
Tony, are you at the airport?
I am so sorry. I literally have to leave the house now.
All right, man. Good, that's no problem.
I'll tell you though, nobody's going to outdo
Yeah, what's
Adele.
What is it?
What's that?
Nobody's going to outdo Adele, man. She's
Oh,
rocking.
she's been amazing. So Adele's going to go into. You want to go into a little bit of our, as we've been taking that same structure that we have with observability, moving it into modernizing, and transformation.
Tony's hyping me up, but this is all of his data and presentation. So he really gave me the tools and the keys to the kingdom.
Good.
Stealing credit's a big part of the IT field, so you should just really start doing that. So.
Stealing credit.
Yeah, don't like it. I'm sorry.
Right.
I build all
Copy, right? It's all about copy, right? So it's all good.
All right, can you guys see that?
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. So this is just a few slides on some little bit into what we've been doing on the back end. And John, feel free to jump in on all of this because I have not been as involved as you have on these conversations.
Okay.
So the core components are listed, and then we have our agentic roster of how they're going to impact and attribute to this modernization process. So the goal is to complete end-to-end architecture for that application modernization using our agentic army that's already there, but whatever development needs to happen to get there. One of them that I did not mention is Tim the Enchanter. So it's a code behavior understanding agentic.
And we named that after Tim, who is kind of our lead architect for this, right? So we're going a little far with the personalities and stuff like that. But we're at this kind of
run fair or no, that's Lori from Monty Python.
Having maybe a little too much fun with the
Yeah,
personalities.
that's Lori from Monty Python.
And then we have an analyzer that I also didn't dive into. And so along with the predict and the transformer, these agentic roster would be utilized to help us complete these end-to-end modernization efforts. So that's just a little bit on the.
So we'll pause right here, right? So again, it's the same kind of thing. We're just working with COBOL, DB2, taking the input, your copybooks, whatever files that it needs to analyze it through to kind of come back and return not only information based on the code, the data, kind of infrastructure. Again, we're working with Amazon. Amazon's dreams, you move everything to the cloud, right?
So if you pretend to support that dream, actually, Amazon will write checks to help fund it, which is also kind of fun. You know what I mean? So they're
After this
also,
morning, it'll be like most of the time.
Well,
yeah, most of the time, except for when they go down. They'll put all your stuff on their East region, what everybody's learning today.
Yeah.
But it's so with the power of AI though, you could do that. Well, also one of the things we're also doing very much so is we have mainframe customers, and with Amazon, on the mainframe, you don't just have like one application. You've got 50, 100, a couple hundred, right? So and this allows you to do the analysis on a multitude of applications in your application portfolio, and within days versus weeks or months, and come back to, we got an architecture, we got here's our data that's required, even data migration, application, and then really what it comes back to is with the customer, how do you work with them on,
how you're going to do it, how you're going to stage it. Are you going to, first and foremost, just modernize the code? Are you going to go from mainframe to cloud? Are you going to go to mainframe on-prem distributed? Kind of help out with that full analysis, right? Because there's so much more than just going COBOL to Java, which is not easy all by itself, right? But it's like, okay, where's my new database going to look like? What are we going to evolve to? How are we going to migrate the data, right? What's the testing, and then who else involved?
I know you're speaking more on general terms here, but slight technicalities, because there have been people sometimes differ in the way they say IBM mainframe.
Mm-hmm.
Some restricted to MBS, but the rest of us, are IBM AS400. So
that's why I got him.
Mid-range.
I presume it's in both cases.
Yes.
You cover both.
We're basically saying mainframe, but it means mainframe, IBM mid-range. So I think it's just
IRZ platforms.
IRZ.
Okay. Right. Our audience is very sensitive to that.
And that's totally my error. And so I will get educated better. Thank you. So that's for sure. But again, it's one of these areas where we think things are happening like they've never happened before. Kind of here's a screenshot. I guess it's in dark mode because I can barely see it.
Sorry for the view here. So this is a screen of our ScoutIT AI platform. And so this would be a summary of where you're at with all of the modernizations. So it would give you a dashboard that would provide like an at a glance view of all of the processes that are happening and all of the applications that are undergoing modernization. So you can track kind of across your entire portfolio with real-time metrics, status updates, and the stage of progression. And so apologies again, it's in dark view. On our website, it would show up white, and so those colors would pop a little bit more. And so we listed a couple of key features and capabilities that we're going for. Applications that are actively tracked, total files being modernized, 34% average progress across portfolio, real-time status monitoring. So this is the dream. I don't know, John, is this actually live right now? Like,
It is.
Okay,
yeah.
Cool.
So we have a setup where you can bring in files and do the analysis, and again, working with CM First is my co-team set of experts. Cool. Yeah, if anybody wants a more detailed demo, or you want to work, right, obviously talk to John and team. I see him first, right?
So I'd be interested to talk to Tim about how do we apply Six Sigma to this stuff.
That'd be Tony. I mean, Tony.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know how to apply Six Sigma. Don't even ask me. I don't even know. I just know a customer wanted.
I've worked with GE before, and man, they were dogmatic about it. But boy, it like I looked into getting certified. Did anybody look into getting certified with Six Sigma? Yeah, I did it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I looked years ago and I didn't do it. I was like, that's
Actually,
way too much.
Too bad. You get a green belt.
But then we get the blue or black or something. It's like, that's way too much. Hey,
So this is just another screen that we would have that would show you a more in-depth analysis of the workflow, file level analyzing, tracking, real-time size and status, monitoring different analyses and process indicators across the different files. So it would show different workflow stages as they go through them. It's just an example again in dark view, but
Again, analysis is key right before you go into anything, right? And there's a lot of things going on behind the scenes. Another set of unnamed agents that are doing the thing in the different areas. Next, let's see if there's another one.
There's more. There's 5. So this is the complete monitorization pipeline. So this would show you a full end-to-end pipeline for all your applications, showing different files moving through the 4 stages of the workflow. You could track each file's status, the code quality, progress percentage, and the available actions throughout the entire life cycle of that transformation. So you'd be able to see multi-stage status tracking, AI status indicators, code quality progress bars, and contextualized action buttons. You'd see results and see where it's at generating the code. So just another view so that you can actually see that things are happening and that.
Trying to get a better overview of what's going on, right? If you're dealing with tons and tons of files. Again, up front, it's more collaborative, but as you've got a multitude of applications, right? Ideally, we can train AI for the agents in your environment to do more on its own. And then one of the things we do realize that actually is pretty exciting with AI-driven software development is there's a lot of shift left. You can get it to kind of code, compile, and run its own tests right up front. You don't have to put it into the QA environment to do. It can do so much more testing than and automated, and then have it kind of attempt fixing its own errors, before you even push it forward. So that's ultimately we want to integrate into your CI/CD pipeline.
Yeah.
Right. But we realized that we were doing a lot of testing way up front. That's never
and right from before
very beginning.
that with the business requirements analysis as well with Gherkin and tools,
Yep.
So even before code development,
Yep.
right at the requirements gathering.
Well, and with AI, we can tell it to be, more specific than ever before. Also help us to identify data gaps. It's absolutely so much more thorough, as we go into, so we don't even do what we consider prompting, is we go into the world of power prompting, where we develop a prompt, and at the end of it, we tell AI to optimize that prompt to then help us then run that. You know what I mean? And it's usually much better than anything we've ever put together, or ever would want to put together.
The key, I think, Abraham and others touched here is accuracy, right?
It's reliability.
Reliability.
Yeah.
That's the number one.
Yeah, 1,000%.
Yeah.
So
that'll keep us in paid, I guess.
Yes. Well, it keeps us out of trouble. More importantly, hopefully, right? So and that's again is people are developing agents and using AI and doing it with their phone and have so many different choices. The amount of activity is just explosive. So how do you get it under control? How do you manage it? And again, it's our view also is to put the critic on top of all of this stuff to monitor it and make sure it's not going sideways. And we can remediate it.
Mm-hmm.
One more.
Is there one more?
One
One
more.
more.
All right, let's go.
A small one to end. Yeah, there we go.
That's QA.
Quality assurance and testing results. So I think that's kind of going into what you guys were just discussing of how do we ensure that this is going under like rigorous analysis and quality assurance, detailed like metrics, including like the pass rates, test scores, critical issues. And I think that's where the critic comes into this process of making sure that we're hitting all of those marks to make everything accurate and smoothly process through, like catching the mistakes ahead of it being a way bigger problem at the end. So there's multi-round testing, comprehensive, like I said, pass rate metrics, critical issue tracking and resolution, and then automated like reviews and recommendations.
So this is, again, even though we're testing upfront during the development, right? Let it finish and then test it again, you know? And then put it into CI/CD test pipeline so it gets tested and validated even more so, right? So it's we're finding that as it works, right? It's you know, you're getting productivity gains that you've never seen before.
Yeah, and this is just step 3. Earlier on, we went through that process of starting with analysis, the O&T, and then the quality assurance. And so this is that step in the process where we're continuing to review.
So is the productivity coming from finding bugs earlier in the cycle, finding exceptions earlier?
So the productivity is one in the upfront analysis, right?
Mhm.
You just got a mega set of files that was happening, and you're getting analysis done in minutes or hours versus days and weeks. So, you know, so right off the bat, right? You're seeing that for sure. And then being able to convert COBOL to Java, you know, even if it's, you know, to the degree that it's right, you know, again, we're going down to minutes or hours versus days and weeks, and we can still also do your first set of code checkers, you know, security checks, you know, business case checks, and let it go do iterations of error handling, you know. So again, you know, so hours or days, you know, instead of weeks and months, right? So it's not a factor of like you're 50% faster, you're like 500% faster, you know, just in those 2 areas. And then testing where it actually can write tests for you in a more comprehensive way than ever before. So that's powerful. You guys are seeing that right away, right? We're seeing that too. You know, and that's fun stuff.
You guys have any customers here in Austin?
We don't.
Or Texas?
Texas?
I think Big Commerce was one of our customers. They're in Austin, right?
Big Commerce?
I think they're one here.
Oh, they're in Austin?
Yep.
Yeah.
Or I lied.
Whoops, I did not.
We did.
We got some other ones. I'd have to look up which ones.
What are they doing? Do you know?
Big Commerce was
Big Commerce? Yeah.
Big Commerce was
Well, I
one.
know what they do. Oh, I meant what are they
We were doing network and monitoring with Big Commerce. That's all the AppNeta, all of the ScoutIT AI that we were focused on that performance and monitoring.
Yeah, so we'll work together to figure out how to do more. Right. But that's it, right?
Yeah, that's all I have.
All right,
What
well,
questions?
Thank you. Thank you.